Meeting is officially open with a quorum present. This evening, students from Atwood McDonald Elementary will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. In just a moment, Principal Gary Smith will introduce them, but first, let's stand for the pledges.
Good evening, President Ramos, the board members, and Dr. Scribner. Thank you for having us tonight. We're excited to be here, and our students would like to quickly introduce themselves.
Alyssa, Amaya, Adriana, Ilya, Luis,
Justin,
Michaela. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
President Ramos, members of the board, Dr. Scribner, our greeters this evening are from the Army Junior Reserve Officers Training Program at O.D. Wyatt High School, where Howard Robinson is the principal. If the students would stand as I call their names: Cadet First Lieutenant Josie Roniero, First Lieutenant Abigail Obregon, First Lieutenant Manish Garung, and Corporal Sung Soo. The senior Army instructor is Lieutenant Colonel Dwight Lawrence. He's assisted by Sergeant Major James Esters and Master Sergeant Irving Grant. Thank you very much. As you arrived this evening, you were entertained by the Dunbar High School Gospel Choir under the direction of Bryson Robinson. In just a moment, we'll hear from them again. So if they would stand so we could recognize them. Tonight, with great pleasure, we recognize Amber Page. Amber, would you stand for us, please? For her involvement at Wedgwood Sixth Grade Center. Mrs. Page volunteers at Wedgwood Sixth because making a difference in the community, especially with children, is what she truly enjoys. She currently doesn't have any children at the school, but the support she offers has been nothing short of amazing. Some of the activities that she has been involved with include doing door decorations for campus staff, lending a helping hand with copying papers and stapling packets, and spearheading the Teacher Appreciation Christmas Week by getting snacks and gifts donated to every teacher and staff member. The campus family communications liaison stated, Mrs. Page is a very dedicated volunteer. The time and effort she puts into our campus is greatly appreciated, and we'd be lost without her. In her own words, Mrs. Page said, I don't volunteer because I have to or because I want recognition. I volunteer because I believe success is achieved by efforts and contributions. Her volunteer motto from Winston Churchill is, we make a living by what we get, but what we make a life by what we give. The Family Communications Department is honored to present Mrs. Amber Page with a certificate of appreciation, and it'll be presented by the principal from Wedgwood 6th. All this month, we've been observing Black History Month. Black History Month is a celebration all across Fort Worth ISD as students pay tribute to and learn more about African American history, achievements, and contributions. Here are just a few of the activities, starting with a lead-up event to Black History Month. District employees, board trustees, and community leaders assembled 500 care packages on the district's second annual Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service on January 20th. They delivered the packages to the homeless, providing them with hats, gloves, blankets, toiletries, and non-perishable goods. Van Zandt Gwent Elementary is celebrating Black History Month with art. Last week, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students showed off more than 100 pieces of artwork that they entered in the Black History Contest hosted by the Tarrant County Black Historical and Genealogical Society. Representatives of the society, the Amon Carter Museum, and other partners joined in that celebration. Our district is recognizing its own in a display in our boardroom lobby. The exhibit features some of the many African Americans on our Wall of Fame who, with a Fort Worth ISD education, accomplished great things in diverse careers and fields. Among them, internationally acclaimed artist Cedric Huckabee from O.D. Wyatt in 1993. Lorraine Miller, Como Junior Senior High, 1966. She was the first African American clerk of the U.S. House of Representatives. Broadway star Major Attaway, Arlington Heights, 2005. He plays the genie in the long-running Aladdin musical. Energy company Christopher Smith, Southwest High School, 1986. He's the former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Fossil Energy. Tamron Hall, Poly High School, 1988. Tamron is a broadcast journalist and national talk show host, and just 2 days ago she hosted the red carpet coverage at the Academy Awards. Gospel musician, singer, songwriter Kurt Franklin, O.D. Wyatt High School. He won his 15th Grammy Award in January. Opal Lee from I.M. Terrell, 1943. She's a founder of the Community Food Bank and chair of Juneteenth Fort Worth. U.S. Congressman Mark Vesey, Arlington Heights, 1990. And 2 Tuskegee Airmen and war heroes, Robert McDaniel from I.M. Terrell in 1940 and Claude Platt from I.M. Terrell in 1937. Looking to the future, our district will debut next fall a new social studies opportunity at all high schools. Fort Worth ISD is believed to be the first district in Texas to offer Latinx, African, and African American history as a core social studies graduation requirement. It will give students a more complete picture of the historical contributions of Americans of color. And now, as promised, the Dunbar High School Gospel Choir, under the direction of Bryson Robinson, will perform an encore.
You good? Okay. Just wanted to open up the floor for a little bit if any trustees want to make any comments. Very powerful information. Just absorbing the moment of what we just saw in the picture slide. So I think, Mr. Quentin Phillips, you're up.
Thank you, President Ramos. My comments are very brief. I just simply wanted to take a moment to acknowledge these young people that are in the room with us today, particularly those of African descent, letting you know that as much as we're celebrating Black History Month, we are celebrating you because you are currently the writers of Black history, and we're very proud of you in this district. And to that beautiful choir in which I used to be a part of some many years ago, I'll be a wildcat, who be you? I'll be a wildcat, too. All right.
Trustee Daphne Brookins.
I'm just excited and humbled. Okay. I'm just excited and humbled to be a part of the board during this time. And I'd just like to recognize our ROTC from O.D. Wyatt, which is one of my schools in my district. And I'd like to thank all the schools that have invited us to come out to participate in the Black History programs. And I'm sorry I couldn't split myself and make all of them, but the ones that I did attend were awesome, and I look forward to attending more in the future.
Thank you. Mrs. Page, congratulations again, and thank you for all the work, all the hours you've put in for our young people in our school system. We really appreciate you. Okay, my friends, it looks like this concludes our section for recognitions. We will take a very short recess so that our guests may depart if they so choose. Okay, thank you. We will move on to public comment. Let me remind you that because of the restrictions by the Texas Open Meetings Act, board members may not engage in a verbal exchange about a subject that has not been posted. We will listen and take notes, but the board is prohibited from responding to any inquiries made during a board meeting on any topic not posted on the agenda. However, the board may reply with 1, a statement of specific factual information given in response to the inquiry, 2, recitation of existing policy in response to the inquiry, or 3, direct a person to visit with staff about the issue. While the board listens to concerns of a general nature, speakers shall refrain from mentioning names of individual employees or public officers during their comments. Any employee, parent, or other member of the public is asked to comply with the appropriate grievance policy to have a complaint heard pursuant to the applicable board policy. No presentation may exceed 3 minutes unless the speaker has prior approval for additional time because of the use of a translator. Furthermore, a speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another speaker. I ask that you please observe these rules for the purpose of effectively accomplishing the business of the meeting in a timely manner. First speaker of tonight is Rebecca Travis, and Rebecca will be followed by Jamie Cox.
Good evening, Superintendent and board members. I'm a resident here in Fort Worth, and I'm part of District 6. I want to thank you for having public comments and for those of us to be able to come out and say what we're thinking. So I don't know how many of you were around here in 1985, or how many of you may have been paying attention in 1985. But in 1985, Trammell Crow, a developer in Dallas, attempted to buy Farrington Field. And it was for a fair price, I might add. They also promised that they would buy some property out in the suburbs and build a stadium, and it was all going to be wonderful, until someone did their due diligence before it all happened, and they found out that there was a reverter clause in the original deed. If at any time Fort Worth ISD ceased to use the property as a stadium, a parking, a lot, recreation, or athletics, the property would revert back to its original owner. Surprise. You might think that you might think that you own the property, but only if it's used for these purposes. The deal quickly fell apart. So who really controls Farrington Field and Billingsley Fieldhouse? Those properties. What is the status of that reverter clause from the original deed back in 1936? If you do sell it, who profits from it? Look back in the last month or two at the YMCA Van Zant over there by Hewlin Mall, and you'll find out that it too had a reverter clause. They got up to the day of closing before they realized, ooh, we sell this, we don't profit from it. So, quick remix of things, and they've had to make a lot of changes in that deal that they were looking at. Did you know that you only have to bring up the property, the field house, the stadium, if to the current codes, if there's a change in use, and that use is significant. Otherwise, you don't have to bring it up to code. So unless you're planning on doing something major to the property, you don't have to do anything about it. I want to just share some interesting little facts and tidbits about Farrington Field. It is a Fort Worth icon. It was built from 1938 through 1939. Its architect was Preston Guerin. It has a capacity of 18,500, which makes it the second largest football stadium in the state of Texas. Memorial Stadium in Mesquite is the only stadium that's larger than Farrington Field. It was renovated in 2010 with AstroTurf and a Jumbotron scoreboards and many other little fixes here and there. The largest attended football game.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. Travis.
The largest attendance there was 24,836.
Thank you. Your time has expired.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
It's okay. Next, we have Jamie Cox.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm Jamie Cox, CT teacher at Polytech High School. I've been teaching 28 years, 13 at Poly. I'm here today concerning the proposed schedule change for high school. We've been on 3 different schedules the past 5 years at Poly, and the district wants to change again. Our students struggle enough with change. Our seniors will be on their third different schedule if we change again next year. I feel we need to stay with one schedule for a minimum of 4 years before we make changes. We need consistency for our children, our students. My concern over the proposed schedule led me to create a survey to send to Fort Worth ISD high school teachers that they could also share with their students, the stakeholders of the affected schedule change. The survey asked teachers 2 questions. Rank the 6 proposed schedules, 1 to 6, favorite to least favorite. And the second question, comments, if you had a comment or concern. This happened on Friday. After much discussion last week, what can we do about this schedule change? Over 1,000 people responded in just a matter of a couple of days. Over 600 comments. I would like to share the results with the board at this time. The majority of the teachers voted for AB block. The students voted to stay with straight B. I have brought handouts of these results. I cut off at noon today so I could get the copies made and bring to the meeting, and I would like to share them with you. So there's 3 sets because there's the student set, the emails from teachers that I copied and pasted to keep their name out of it, and then the teacher with all the statistical data and comments. Okay. Please leave it alone. I need consistency for my children. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts this evening.
You're
We'll
welcome.
move on to our report, Lone Star Governance, which is going to focus on Goal 3, College and Career Readiness. Dr. Scribner, would you like to say a few words before the presentation?
Yes. At this time, we would like our Chief Academic Officer, Jerry Moore, to take us through this presentation that addresses the current board goal number 3. And tonight's presentation will address our end-of-course data recently received at the central office. With that, I'll turn it over to Jerry.
Thank you, Dr. Scribner, President Ramos, members of the board. We are happy to be here with you this evening to discuss our STAR end-of-course assessment data from our December 2019 administration. This end-of-course information is our current high school students. As a December administration, this is data related to student retesters, students who are testing on end-of-course exams for the second or third time in their opportunity. Drawing your attention to the graphic representation of the work from the Division of Academics, as I said, we are here talking about end-of-course assessments, but more specifically, we're talking about student outcomes. And as you know, student outcomes do connect to our Lone Star governance work, and specifically here we're talking college and career readiness. While you will see that performance on end-of-course assessments is not stated in our Goal 3, post-secondary readiness is the overall focus for this goal. Students being successful on their state-required assessments to obtain a graduation and diploma are essential to post-secondary readiness, and therefore we are making the connection this evening. To put a little context in place for our end-of-course exams, students in high school are required to pass 5 different exams during their high school career. Algebra 1, Biology, English 1, English 2, and U.S. History. Of these courses, Algebra 1, Biology, and English are freshman-level courses. The majority of our students do take these courses as a freshman. However, some students take these courses at the end of their middle school years in 8th grade. Students taking English 2 is a traditional sophomore level course, and U.S. History is a traditional junior level course. With this administration, there are 3 opportunities for students to meet graduation requirement and passing standard on these assessments. The first opportunity comes in spring, the spring as they complete the course that they're enrolled in. Example being, if a student is a freshman taking biology this year, they will test in May, and this will be the first opportunity they have to meet state standard on passing of the end-of-course assessment. If a student by chance does not meet standard in spring, they have an opportunity to go to summer school. They have an opportunity to take the course over if they do not pass the course. Or if it's just not passing the assessment, they have an opportunity to enroll in an intervention program where they can prepare to take the test again and meet passing standard in summer. If a student does not meet standard on either one of those administrations, we have a December administration. This would be the winter administration. This would be the administration we just had in December of 2019 for any student who has not yet met graduation requirements. With these assessments being freshman, sophomore, and junior level assessments, students are given multiple opportunities to meet state requirements for graduation. Wanted to share some findings that we had as we started digging into the end-of-course assessment data that we're going to share with you this evening. The first area that we identified is that we do have fewer students that are retesting in December. This is a positive result for us. Students that are meeting standard in either their spring or summer administration and not needing to take the December administration is a positive trend. And then from the information we're going to review today from our December administration, that retest information, we have increased performance from a number of our student groups from African American, Hispanic, and social and special education populations. All positive trends right now. Before I jump further and look at the individual and specific data, I did want to take a few minutes and reflect on the positive trends that we're seeing. And I feel like there is one major contributor that we have to recognize here for why we're seeing positive results, and that is our teachers. I want to think about high school teachers and high school students right now. Our high school teachers that take on the responsibility of teaching an end-of-course subject have a huge responsibility on them. They have almost 150 students, sometimes more than 150 students, whose graduation potential rests in the opportunities that they provide them in the classroom. I think these positive trends that we're seeing and the information we'll review today speaks to the great work that our teachers are doing, the commitment and the intensive support that our teachers are providing to our students. So we're happy to share this information with you today. Let's start out with biology. Each of the slides as we go through the different subject areas are going to follow the same format. I just want to talk you through each of these slides so you understand what the data really is telling us right now. We followed the same format, and we're comparing retest information, so that's December, our winter administration, from December of 2018 to this year's December 2019 test information. As you will see here, we had a 5 percentage point increase in retesters at the winter administration. We went from 32% of our retesters meeting standard to 37% of our retesters meeting standard here in December of 2019. I'll draw your attention to the chart to the right-hand side. You will see that in Fort Worth ISD in 2018, we had over 900 students needing to retest in biology. This past year, we had a little over 700 students, fewer students needing to meet graduation requirement here in December. With that 5 percentage point overall increase, I'd like to draw your attention to some of our student groups as well. You will see that our African American students actually had an 8 percentage point increase in their performance in biology this year, and our special education students had a 7 percentage point increase, both positive trends in those student group areas. Looking at English 1, we'll see similar improvements in this subject area, actually a 7 percentage point increase from our retesters in 2018 to our December retesters in 2019. I will draw your attention to the number of students that we have retesting here in 2019. We have just under, we have around 2,700 students that needed to retest in English. And I would like to draw your attention to the conversation we had this weekend as we engaged in the board workshop around Lone Star governance goals and goal setting. We had a distinct conversation about the structures we need to put in place for an aligned literacy approach here in Fort Worth ISD. What are we doing to make sure that our instructional philosophy and literacy and our instructional program is aligned from early childhood all the way through high school? These scores, the number of students that are needing to retest in English 1 and actually in English 2, and we see that in just a minute, are a direct result of that lack of alignment and the reason why we are focused and intentional about the work we're doing moving forward with literacy. English 2, you'll see this as well. We do see our retesters seeing positive gains here as well. We went from 16% of retesters meeting standard to 19% this past year. Once again, another gain here. I'd like to point out that our African American student group in English 2 saw positive gains, and actually, if you look at all of our student groups, they mirror the overall 3 percentage point increase that we see reflected here. U.S. history is a little bit of an anomaly with the results that we're sharing with you here. We did see a significant decrease in our U.S. history performance for our retesters, 15 percentage point decrease. I draw your attention to that this is the smallest group of retesters that we have. More of our students are meeting standard on our U.S. history assessment. We have about 250 students that still need to pass the U.S. history exam here. And so we are trying to figure out what exactly happened with U.S. history this past year. The state has not released this test yet, so we haven't had the ability to dig into this test and these questions. But we are reaching out to our neighbors around neighboring districts to find out if they have similar results to ours with U.S. history. And we'll be quickly developing a plan for how we support those 250 students still needing to meet graduation requirements. I'll draw your attention to Algebra 1 here as well. I know you all are used to seeing Algebra 1 as it is one of our Lone Star governance goals specifically. And we know that we have 83% of our students that are meeting standard on our Algebra 1 assessment. However, looking at that population of students who have not yet met that standard, our retesters, we did see a 7 percentage point increase, a difference from our December testers in 2018 to our 36% being successful in December of 2019. We did have a little over 1,000 students needing to retest in Algebra 1 this December. While it's an overall 7 percentage point increase, our African American student group also saw a 7 percentage point increase, and our Hispanic students saw a 6 percentage point increase. So what does all of that information mean in the larger picture? Well, that means that the number of seniors needing to pass one or more end-of-course exams is decreasing. That's a positive trend for us. We will see that we are now below 18% of our seniors that are needing to pass one or more of their end-of-course exams to meet graduation requirements. So we're able to really pinpoint and focus on the students that we need to continue working on to meet that graduation requirement. I pulled out for you our English language learners and our special education population here. As you will see, the decrease in the percentage of students is significant in these areas. We are seeing more of our English language learners meeting graduation requirements and a larger population of students in special education meeting graduation requirements. These are focused areas that we've been intentional about, and we'll continue to see growth in these areas as well. So we're talking about 18% of our students that have not yet met standard on their state required assessment. So what are we doing? What is our strategic support for these students? Well, first of all, we have the ability to enroll students in repeater courses. So if a student does not meet standard on their coursework in one of their 5 end-of-course exams, we have a schedule that allows us to re-enroll them in the course to gain more content knowledge, to gain more experience, and to prepare them before they have to go back and retake the test or just to meet standard on the course itself. We also have students that do pass their course but did not meet standard on the end of course, do not pass the test. When that situation happens, we have intervention programs in place. We have time in the schedule where we can enroll students in intervention courses to specifically prepare them to be able to meet standard on the test in subsequent administrations. For our students, for this 18% of our students that we'll be working with this year to meet graduation requirements, we do have the ability to look at individualized graduation plans. Students who have taken multiple administrations of the end-of-course exam have the ability to focus in the areas where they had weakness. And we develop an individualized plan for that student where they engage in specific work, assessment, and projects, which will allow a committee to review their growth and their progress and their performance in their senior year to meet an alternate graduation requirement aside from the state assessment, supporting their ability to graduate on time. And then finally, I'll draw your attention to our 8-period day. In this situation, we are maintaining 8 periods. Our recommendation is to have a modified block as we move forward. The importance of this 8-period day, I think, speaks directly to the increases in our end-of-course assessments that we're seeing. More opportunity for students to enroll in intervention courses, repeater courses, giving our students more opportunity to meet standard on their end-of-course exams and meet standard for graduation is a direct result to more instructional opportunities in the number of classes students can take in their high school career. All 4 of these are strategic supports that we will continue and work with our students so that we have a greater number of students graduating on time and our graduation rate continues to increase as it did this past year. I believe that's all the information I had to share with you regarding December end of course administration, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. First up, we have Trustee Evans.
Thank you so much for this report. I just want to make sure I'm understanding
Sure.
some of the data in here. So, for example, on page 7, we're looking at the biology.
Yes, ma'am.
They took the course in December. I'm sorry, they took the exam in December. Did they take the course the previous
Yeah,
semester?
That's a great example. So for biology specifically, these are courses that students have taken previously. Biology is a freshman level course. So many of these students that are here are students that have taken this administration multiple times, probably more than 3 times. This would not be a student who is taking biology for the first time. We don't have any biology courses that finish in December, and December is their first chance to take the test. So this is 100% retesters.
Okay.
Some of them may have taken the assessment 3 to 6 times already. And so these are just the students that have struggled with being able to meet standards. So we had 37% of those students that met standard this December.
Okay. Is there any sort of class or prep work for the assessment, especially if they're juniors and they haven't taken the class till freshman year?
Yeah. So we do actually have specific preparation. So the intervention courses that we do for students who have not yet met end of course requirements, we do that. We do summer administrations when a student does not meet standard in spring and they test in summer. We have a whole summer school program for students to do that. And then if it's a student who continues their junior or senior year that has not met standard, we have courses that we can enroll them in to support that work as well.
Okay. And then one other question over the last slide, I believe. No, page 12, the number of seniors needing one or more to pass one or more end of course.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's 17.8%. So back that out, does that mean that 82.2% are graduation ready?
Ma'am,
We're
that's-
graduating 82% of our kids this year?
Actually, we're graduating 86% of our students. That was our last graduation rate. So what we will do with this almost 18% is work with them on whatever opportunities we have left in the spring administration to
Okay.
test one more time.
Okay.
Or we'll also be looking at individualized graduation plans for those students so we can meet one of the standards that's accepted by the state.
Okay. And I'd love to dive a little deeper into the data with this 17.8% number.
Sure.
How many just need one course to pass, and how many still need all 5? And
Yeah.
you may not know that now, but if you could
I
get that to me.
don't, but I'll be glad to pull that
Okay.
information and share that with the board. I think it would be great to see the number of students and which specific EOC they still have that they need to pass. So I'll be glad to share that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Trustee Dar.
You actually answered my questions during your presentation, so
Great.
thank you for that. But I also want to thank you for recognizing the fact that the teachers who are teaching Algebra 1, Biology, English 1 and 2, and American History have an ominous task.
They sure do.
And I know and I feel confident in saying that most, if not all of those teachers, when those students don't pass that test, they too are crushed.
Take it personally.
They
That's
do,
correct.
and because they're passionate about what they do. But I appreciate you recognizing the amount of work that goes into that and the responsibility that's behind that and the importance of that. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Trustee Paz.
I'll actually withdraw my question because it's been answered. Sorry.
Okay. So it looks like that's, Trustee Jackson.
Thank you, President Ramos. Thanks for a great presentation. And great presentation always prompts questions with the data, Mr. Moore.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm looking at every one of these course subjects, and if I flip through them, if I've done the math correctly, it looks like 19% drop overall in Fort Worth ISD for biology. But when I look at African American students, 30% less were tested. And then when I look at English 1, it's evened up. With English 2, 14% Fort Worth ISD, 16% African Americans, 13 and 16 for U.S. history. And then when we go to Algebra 1, 15% drop for Fort Worth ISD, but 29% drop for African American students. That perplexes me, and I don't expect you to have an answer, but you may. it just is glaring to me, and I wonder why.
On the percentage drop of students that are retesting?
They're driving that number, so that troubles me.
So if we take a look at Algebra 1 specifically, your example of African American students, of the 1,073, 311 African American students still needed to retest
Right.
or retested in December of 2019.
Right.
And 30% of those 300 met standard.
Right. So I'm just looking at, that's a different number, so I just want to know why there's a standout there. Their percentages are different than every other one of those boxes when you go down. And honestly, I don't expect an answer tonight, but I just saw it, and it just kind of perplexed me.
We can dig deeper into it. I'd be glad to further that conversation, and let's take a look at it to make sure.
It may be just an anomaly and nothing, but
I need to take a look.
All right, thank you.
We'll take a look at it and dig deeper, for sure.
Next, we have Trustee Brookins.
Okay. So you said that we have 86% graduating in May. Is that correct?
Our last graduation rate that was reported by the state from last year was 86%. That was our latest graduation rate. That's correct.
Okay. How soon will we know for this year?
So graduation rate does lag a year, so we are a little delayed in getting that, but we run our own numbers, and so we won't have that information until August when all of our final results are back.
Okay. And do you have a breakdown, just like how you have a breakdown on?
For graduation rate?
Mhm.
Yes, ma'am, we sure do, and we could share that with you as
Okay.
well.
And last question, what is the actual highest graduation rate we've ever had? Not like ever, but in the last 5 years.
So what I would tell you is the 86% that we had this last year was a 2 percentage point increase from the previous year, and we have seen consistent gains of a point or so the last 5 years.
Okay.
So our 86% is at one of our highest levels that we've had in recent years.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Moore, it looks like we have no more questions or comments from the board. Appreciate you and the team in the
Thank you, sir.
presentation. At this time, we will recess and reconvene in regular session in the board conference room. Okay, we're going to reconvene. As board president, I'm making the following statement in accordance with the board policy BBFA local. This is a reminder to all board members of the legal conflict of interest requirements and disclosure requirements you may have for matters under consideration on the agenda for this meeting. If required by law, board members shall recuse themselves from all discussion and shall abstain from voting on any matter pertaining to such a disclosure. Next part, are there any questions concerning consent agenda items? Okay, Trustee Luevanos?
65. Can they correct my name?
Yeah, really good
And
correction.
then also on page 67.
Yes.
Thank you.
So page 69 and 67, right?
67 and 65.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. Thank you, Trustee Luevanos. Any questions or comments from the board?
I have a question.
Trustee Dar.
On consent agenda item A, 1, 2, 3, and 4, regarding the technology. Thank you. I'm just wondering, I'm thrilled to see that we're doing this because newer technology is going to be more efficient and more effective for the students. Is there a timeline for how that's being rolled out? And that may
Certainly.
be a more specific question than you're ready to answer. It just
No,
came
no,
to
no,
mind.
no. As part of the TRE, we moved away from buying computers and technology items from Bond to a TRE. So what we have begun from the 2013 purchase of computers, we have begun the refresh cycle. We started that last year. This is the second implementation. So what we have is a refresh cycle where we're trying to every 4 years on laptops, 5 years on desktops, to refresh them so that we don't get caught with old equipment.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board?
For consent agenda, item number 3, to approve purchase of computer desktop and services for campuses. Oh, sorry. Should have. I think that I've asked this before, but I wanted to make sure that I am understood and clear about that. So if we're replacing all those computers and laptops, are we giving them to other schools, or are we, is there a way we can donate them to our partners? I'm just wanting to know where these computers are going.
Certainly. Disposing of old equipment is a complex job because, especially desktops, they contain a lot of information on their hard drives. So our primary goal is to ensure that they are disposed of in accordance to our policies, and so that we don't end up with student data or other data. We do not contribute or donate right now any of that equipment, but it's certainly something that as technology gets better and we take practices, we may look into.
Okay. No other questions or comments from the board? Okay, that will conclude discussion of consent agenda items. We will now recess for executive session in the board conference room. For executive session is authorized by Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code under Sections 551.071, .072, .074, and .076.
Have you ever been on skates?
No.
No, huh? You think you can do it?
I don't know. Everybody comes together to get you guys on ice skates, so.
And especially you guys.
We are ready to skate, aren't we, guys? Yeah! I'm going to be excited skating for the first time.
Our kids say every year, I can't believe how hard that was when I got on the ice and how easy it was when I was getting off the ice.
My name is Jaylee, and I'm in this water class. Wooka wooka boom!
All right.
Okay, I'm going to go to the side.
Okay.
Today we are kicking off our annual Fort Worth ISD Schools on Skates program. It's fun! It's awesome! Our first 2 schools out of 20 that we will host over the series of the holiday season out here at Panther Island Ice.
Well, I have seen a lot of students get out on the ice for the first time, and they are really doing well. It's so great to see these kids out here on ice skates and having fun.
Good! They also do apply the ice skating to lessons in the class, so it gives them a few different things to do to make it a fun experience.
This was my first time getting on the skates. I was keep falling 10 times, and I was trying my best. I couldn't. Now I really love to skate.
Our kids love this experience.
There you go.
Today is a continuation of our partnership with the Fort Worth Chamber in bringing folks from the business community into our programming within CTE.
And so we showcase 3 areas: our culinary, our automotive.
We try to gear them up for real-world application.
And then also our engineering class.
This is Engineering Design Presentation 1.
I like to see students interacting with adults and not being intimidated, not feeling nervous, and it gets them really prepared for their career because they can have that confidence.
Learning this program at school helped me get a job in the future.
And we really got to see the students in their element, learning more about those different fields, and not only that, but getting hands-on experience in those areas.
I think that partnering with our high schools, we're really excited about the skills that they're learning here.
This is a high-level program designed with the support of industry experts to lead to a high-demand, high-wage career.
The future is bright here in Fort Worth, and I really think that we have so much to look forward to with the young folks of this generation.
This is our 15th annual Fort Worth Technology Conference. We have 20 districts represented here this year, 19 other districts, and of course ours. We're offering classes to teach our teachers how to integrate technology seamlessly into their courses and into their classrooms.
So this is our digital playground. We have digital escape rooms. We have AR and VR, so that augmented and virtual reality, and some ways that they can integrate that even as young as elementary school.
That is so neat.
You think technology is part of a 15-year-old, imagine what that's like for a 5-year-old. Technology and digitalization is just part of their environment.
How cool is that, right?
Okay. That's what these sessions are all about, trying to understand that that's who's coming into our schools.
All right, time starts now.
The Prometheum board, the new one, oh my gosh, that's amazing.
It's not what do you want to be when you grow up, it's what problem are you going to solve. It's getting them ready for their future.
Adriana's parents got in touch with the Fort Worth Police Department. She wanted to become a Fort Worth police officer. She's a 6-year-old fighting cancer.
She has hepatocellular carcinoma. It's a very rare liver cancer. She may be the only child in Texas being treated for it. Adriana has surgery on Monday.
We got this, don't we?
She was sworn in as a Fort Worth police officer. She was able to answer her last test question to be sworn in, and that question was, how many officers on the Fort Worth Police Department?
1,712.
Absolutely, you are correct.
Our chief swore in today. She was able to do the police things, ride in a police car, practice with SWAT. Also handled with K-9. And then her grand prize was she and her sister were allowed to go in the helicopter and fly over the zoo.
How was it?
Good.
There are students that need love. They need support. They need a hug. Happy birthday, Mrs. Mitchell. Miss Mitchell is all that to not only the students in her classroom, but to our students across the campus.
She is the oldest employee in Fort Worth ISD right now. She's been here since 1968. A lot of the people who have come out to celebrate are some of her old friends, co-workers.
You've been such a nice person to work with, who always had a pleasant smile.
It just made me feel good to know that I'm loved that much. Every year she tells me she's going to retire, but every year she comes back. I'm the type of person that I have to keep busy. It's a joy for me to come here and work with the children.
She's everything to us, and as many years as she wants to come back, we would enjoy to have her.
I didn't know that they were planning to do this, but I feel very humble about all of it. And so I don't want to cry, you all.
Fire Science Technology students come to the Fort Worth Fire Academy once a month.
This is going to be great!
So they get hands-on experiences. They're doing ladder climbing.
I was nervous and scared for a little bit, but I got over it. Like when I was looking up and climbing.
They're working with hoses. They're putting out controlled burns in the dumpster.
Today we have students from Eastern Hills that are part of the Fire Science program. A part of their curriculum is to learn to investigate, determine the cause of fires, and to extinguish fires.
Anytime you learn about the equipment, anytime you learn how to operate a fire truck, you're doing it for the people that need you.
Going down the pole is a lot with your legs. It's hardly anything with your hands.
Fort Worth Fire Department has a phenomenal facility, and so it's an opportunity for them to work and do training on state-of-the-art equipment.
We'll take them through the physical ability test, just so they get an understanding of a lot of the physical requirements.
Everybody pitches in and how they're always together. I really like that because I would like to go into a career where it feels like we're all family.
I like the idea of being a firefighter because I like helping people. Yeah, it's not easy.
Is it worth it?
Yeah, it's worth it.
Welcome everyone to the Fort Worth ISD Athletic National Signing Day ceremony.
2% of high school student athletes go to the next level and somebody's paying for it. Trust me, your parents are super excited.
First of all, Arlington Heights High School, Emily Andrus. Emily plays softball for Arlington Heights, and today she is signing with the University of Texas Permian Basin in Odessa, Texas. Our next signee, Jaylee Ray McDonald. Jaylee plays softball at Arlington Heights High School, and today she is signing with Texas Women's University in Denton, Texas. Also from Arlington Heights High School, we have Brandon Massey. Brandon is signing his letter of intent to play golf at Texas Christian University right here in Fort Worth. Okay, also from Arlington Heights, Ismail Nasir. Ismail plays football for Arlington Heights, and today he is signing with Texas Wesleyan University. We'd like to recognize the athletes signing today from Benbrook High School. First off, we have Emily Folk. Emily is a volleyball player at Benbrook High School, and today she is signing to play volleyball at Western Texas College in Snyder, Texas. Okay, next from Benbrook, volleyball player Mallory Gossett. Mallory is signing today to play volleyball at Central Baptist College in Conway, Arkansas. Coach Davies has a third member of the volleyball team, Cameron McGriff, but Cameron unfortunately cannot be here today. Cameron will be signing with Shepherd University in Shepherdstown, West Virginia to play volleyball. Next from Benbrook, Abigail Bramlett. Abigail will be signing to run track and field at Hardin-Simmons University in Abilene, Texas. Our next school that we will recognize the athletes from is Eastern Hills High School. First we have Malik Darden. Malik is a football player who is signing today with Navarro College in Corsicana, Texas. Next from Eastern Hills, we have Elijah Harper. Elijah is signing his letter of intent today to play football at Cisco College in Cisco, Texas. Okay, from Pascal High School, Jackson Witt Dennis. Jackson is a cross-country and track athlete at Pascal High School, and today he is signing his national letter of intent at the University of Mississippi in Oxford, Mississippi. Also from Pascal High School, Isaac Garcia. Isaac is a football player at Pascal who is signing his national letter of intent today at Texas Southern University in Houston, Texas. Southwest High School. First up from Southwest, we'd like to recognize Sakira Price Taylor. Sakai is a volleyball player at Southwest High School who is signing her national letter of intent today at Jarvis Christian College in Hawkins, Texas. Also from Southwest High School today, Adriana Waddle. Adriana is signing today to play basketball at Tarleton State University. Also from Southwest High School today, King Blanton. King is a football player at Southwest High School who today is signing his national letter of intent to play football at Texas Southern University in Houston, Texas. For Trimble Tech High School, first off we have Brianna Smith. Brianna is a basketball player at Trimble Tech who is signing her national letter of intent today at Houston Tillotson University in Austin, Texas. Also from Trimble Tech High School today, Trey Morgan. Trey is a football player at Trimble Tech who is signing his national letter of intent today at Lyon College in Batterville, Arkansas.
We are just peacock proud of you guys.
Trustee Toby Jackson will now introduce an historic resolution to the board.
Thank you, President Ramos. I want to thank our trustees, each of you, our Superintendent, Kent Scribner, and especially Board President Jacinto Ramos, for placing this resolution on the agenda, which supports the education of our youth on the truth about e-cigarettes so they will make an informed choice.
I'm talking to students about things that we see in the crime labs from e-cigarettes and vaping materials. You have no possible way of understanding what's in that thing you just inhaled.
Antifreeze. That's the main ingredient in vape.
I want these students to be educated about not only the harmful effects of e-cigarettes, but the potential life-changing impact that it could have on their future.
If you're caught with e-cigarettes that have THC, you can face a felony penalty.
I hope this is the start of stuff that is more national.
That little baggie is 4,000 lethal doses. Questions? Another one up there? No.
I started vaping 3 years ago when I was 14. And then I was immediately addicted. Hospitalized in November. If I would have known how harmful it was and that it could actually send you to the hospital, I definitely wouldn't have done it.
No, it's not worth it.
One, and.
Like musicians in an orchestra, trustees and the superintendent have different parts to play in shaping education in Fort Worth ISD. The men and women who make up the Fort Worth ISD Board of Education are diverse in gender, race, age, occupations, experiences, perspectives, and opinions. What they have in common is an interest in Fort Worth ISD that runs deep. Almost all are parents of current or recent district students.
And each has a history of strong community leadership, as you'll see, starting with our newest members. Daphne Brookins represents District 4. Daphne is a youth administrator for Workforce Solutions for Tarrant County and a former Forest Hill Mayor Pro Tem. Ann Darr, District 6. Ann is a lifelong educator with a special commitment to deaf and hard of hearing students and their families.
CJ Evans, District 5. CJ is a lawyer who also facilitates a monthly pro bono legal clinic for women at risk. Quentin Phillips, District 3. Q brings real-life insight to the board as a professor at TCU and the founding partner of the nonprofit Community Frontline organization.
Toby Jackson, District 2, a lifelong advocate for children. Toby is always looking to bring attention to initiatives and programs that level the playing field. Anael Luebanos, District 8. And Anael is an accountant who goes beyond the numbers to make sure all children have access to educational and other opportunities.
Ashley Paz, District 9, an entrepreneur, business owner, and equity warrior. Ashley fights tirelessly on behalf of children and families. Norman Robbins, District 7. Norm brings years of professional experience in both the public and private sector, as well as sage guidance to new initiatives.
And Board President Jacinto Ramos Jr., representing District 1. Cinto is a proven leader on the local, state, and national stage in educational policy, racial and ethnic equity, and school board governance. And now our trustees share an exciting and challenging new commitment that is changing the future of Fort Worth ISD.
It's a journey taken in collaboration with Superintendent Scribner, focused on one primary goal: improving student outcomes.
In January 2017, our board adopted the Texas Education Agency initiative called Lone Star Governance. It's a continuous improvement model for boards dedicated to sharpening their focus on better student outcomes. Lone Star Governance intensively trains and guides board members in working with superintendents to create clear-cut student outcome goals and measures aligned to the goals.
Fort Worth ISD trustees, collaborating with Superintendent Scribner, set goals for improvement in these crucial areas: literacy, math, and college career and military readiness. Lone Star Governance also clarifies responsibilities in meeting the goals, which duties belong to the board and which belong to the superintendent.
For example, the board sets the goals, but it's the responsibility of the superintendent to find ways to reach them. In other words, the board focuses on governance, guiding, supporting, and monitoring relevant data, while the superintendent focuses on the management of the district, providing administrative leadership, and proposing and implementing policy changes.
This brings up another key component of Lone Star Governance: identified constraints. An example of a board constraint is tracking its use of time in meetings to ensure the majority of time is spent on student outcome goals. Another example, not trying to perform the roles of the superintendent.
An example of a superintendent constraint is ensuring low-performing campuses have equitable access to resources. Also, not allowing adult convenience or preference to take priority over academic progress of students.
But a big part of governance is actively engaging you, the community, in our work. As your elected representatives, this school board wants to represent your values, so you'll see more of us where you are. We'll be visiting your clubs and organizations and listening. Your input informs our decision making.
Like the diverse sections of an orchestra, each Board of Education trustee brings a distinct contribution to their collective work. The result can be harmonious, dynamic support of the district's mission to prepare all students for success in college, career, and community leadership.
Your Fort Worth ISD Board of Education is committed to teamwork at its finest to improve outcomes for all students.
Big smile. Great. I think it looks perfect. Thank you. Yeah.
Adriana's parents got in touch with the Fort Worth Police Department. She wanted to become a Fort Worth police officer. She's a 6-year-old fighting cancer.
We got this, don't we?
She's 4 and today she was able to do the police things, ride in a police car, practice with SWAT. Also handle with K-9. And then her grand prize was she and her sister were allowed to go in the helicopter and fly over the zoo.
How was it?
Today is a continuation of our partnership with the Fort Worth Chamber in bringing folks from the business community into our programming within CTE.
And so we showcase 3 areas: our culinary, our automotive.
We try to gear them up for real-world application.
And then also our engineering class.
This is Engineering Design Presentation 1.
I like to see students interacting with adults and not being intimidated, not feeling nervous, and it gets them really prepared for their career because they can have that confidence.
Learning this program at school helps me get a job in the future.
This is a high-level program designed with the support of industry experts to lead to a high-demand, high-wage career.
Fire Science Technology students come to the Fort Worth Fire Academy once a month.
This is going to be great!
So they get hands-on experiences, and they're doing ladder climbing.
I was nervous and scared for a little bit, but I got over it. Like when I was looking up and climbing.
They're working with hoses. They're putting out controlled burns in the dumpster.
Today we have students from Eastern Hills that are part of the Fire Science program. A part of their curriculum is to learn to investigate, determine the cause of fires, and to extinguish fires.
Fort Worth Fire Department has a phenomenal facility, and so it's an opportunity for them to work and do training.
I like the idea of being a firefighter because I like helping people.
Trustee Toby Jackson will now introduce an historic resolution to the board.
Thank you, President Ramos. I want to thank our trustees, each of you, for placing this resolution on the agenda, which supports the education of our youth on the truth about e-cigarettes so they will make an informed choice.
I'm talking to students about things that we see in the crime labs, from e-cigarettes and vaping materials. You have no possible way of understanding what's in that thing you just inhaled.
I started vaping 3 years ago when I was 14.
And then I was immediately addicted.
Hospitalized in November. If I would have known how harmful it was and that it could actually send you to the hospital, I definitely wouldn't have done it.
No, it's not worth it.
There are students that need love. They need support. They need a hug. Happy birthday, Mrs. Mitchell. Miss Mitchell is all that to not only the students in her classroom, but to our students across the campus.
She is the oldest employee in Fort Worth ISD right now. She's been here since 1968.
It's made me feel good to know that I'm loved that much. Every year she tells me she's going to retire, but every year she comes back. I'm the type of person that I have to keep busy. It's a joy for me to come here and work with the children.
She's everything to us, and as many years as she wants to come back, we would enjoy to have her.
I didn't know that they were planning to do this, but I feel very humble about all of it. And so I don't want to cry, you all.
The men and women who make up the Fort Worth ISD Board of Education are diverse in gender, race, age, occupations, experiences, perspectives, and opinions.
And each has a history of strong community leadership, as you'll see, starting with our newest members. Daphne Brookins represents District 4, Ann Dar, District 6.
CJ Evans, District 5. Quentin Phillips, District 3.
Toby Jackson, District 2. Anael Luevanos, District 8.
Ashley Paz, District 9. Norman Robbins, District 7.
And Board President Jacinto Ramos Jr., representing District 1.
First place winner, Cameron Brown.
Our theme is African Americans and the Vote. Today we're celebrating the children and their participation in our 7th annual Jury Art Show and present them with first, second, and third place ribbons.
It's an African American picture. It says, "Let my people vote."
Our job in this was to bring some examples from our collection that the students could look at to get their process going.
We're going to take the first place winner to the Lenore Rollo Heritage Center Museum.
Take this time to ask a question that you have from that time frame.
Why are people treated differently just because of the tone of our skin?
Because people just didn't know.
War and Peace was a poster. It said, "Let all people vote," because back then people of color couldn't vote.
This is my piece. Let people vote civil rights. I think little kids should vote too.
You have to believe in yourself. Don't let anyone steal your dream. Don't let anyone tell you you can't do it.
Seven, 8, or the same.
Now, when I do this, does that make it a little bit better or worse?
When you consider the fact that 80% of learning is through sight, I think everyone would agree that good vision is essential to success of a child in their school years.
It feels great. You can see out of the glasses instead of taking them off.
This is a powerful program, and it cannot be successful without
the support of your teachers, of your nurses, and they notice an immediate difference.
What about 3, 4?
In your performance every time you are provided with glasses every year.
The great thing about wearing glasses is that you can see better.
Kids who don't have glasses can't see in school, can't do their work, and oftentimes when they get glasses,
what do you think?
They begin to turn their life around.
Many kids don't understand, or maybe they don't realize that they have a vision problem. This is the first place where that is identified, and it helps to kind of direct them so that they can have a more comprehensive exam.
Because it actually does look really good.
Okay. In accordance with the open meetings law, the board opened a meeting at 5:30 p.m. in the boardroom with a quorum present, recessed, and reconvened open session in the board conference room, adjourned regular session, convened executive session, and then adjourned executive session is now reconvened open session at 7:24 p.m. in the boardroom with a quorum present. We'll be moving on to agenda number 12, accepting consent agenda. No items were pulled. So do I have a motion accepting consent agenda items? I have a motion by Trustee Jackson and a second by Trustee Luevanos. Do we have any discussion? Looks like no discussion. Please move the vote. Motion passes 8-4 and 0 against. 13A is not needed. We did not remove items. We're moving on 13B, personnel. Do I have a motion for personnel? We have a motion by Trustee Robbins and a second by Trustee Dar. Do we have any discussion on the personnel as discussed in executive session? Looks like no discussion. Please move the vote. Motion passes 8-4 and 0 against. Dr. Scribner, do you have an introduction you'd like to make?
I do. Thank you very much, President Ramos, members of the board, and thank you for that action. As part of that action, we have approved the new Chief Financial Officer in Fort Worth ISD. We are very pleased to welcome aboard Mr. Michael Ball, who comes to us from Louisville Independent School District, who is a very highly sought-after executive in the field of school finance. He served several districts and, in fact, is on the Teacher Retirement System Board, TRS Board, which is a very important position. He's known as a very solid individual, straight shooter, family person, school finance expert, but also understands the classroom. His wife and his daughter are both teachers, so he understands the policy and school finance side as well as the classroom side, and we're very, very pleased to have him join Fort Worth ISD. If we could give him a round of applause. And Mike, if you would like to say a few words?
The opportunity to thank the Board of Trustees and Dr. Scribner for the great opportunity and privilege to become a part of Fort Worth ISD. I look forward to working with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Thank you and welcome, Mr. Ball. So moving on to number 14, action agenda items. No action is required on A, B, or C, so we move on to D. 14D is rescind the May 14th, 2019 termination of Phyllis Nicholas's probationary contract. Do I have a motion? Looking for a motion. We have a motion by Trustee Robbins and a second by Trustee Luevanos. Do we have any discussion? Looks like no discussion. Please move the vote. Motion passes 8-4 and 0 against. 14, we will not have grievance tonight, so we will move on to 15, which is comments by board members or superintendent on current district activities and announcements. Do we have any announcements or comments from the board or the superintendent? Looks like, Trustee Evans.
I just want to take this opportunity to say that between now and the last board meeting, I was able to go see one of our high school dance recitals or concerts, and I'm just really proud of the fine arts push that we have district-wide and proud of our students.
Thank you. Next, we have Trustee Jackson.
Thank you, President Ramos. Becky Navarro was right over there, but Dr. Navarro hosted a wonderful technology conference. Superintendent Scribner, I believe you opened it up, and it was absolutely amazing. And what was so cool, just like Jerry spoke about the teachers, we had so many employees there, and also John Engel, the principal at Southwest, was an exceptional host. And if you haven't seen their 3D printer in their lab, he's very proud of it, and I will go back with you because we couldn't find the keys that day.
Okay, my friends, looks like there's no more comments from the board or the superintendent. So no more comments. This meeting is adjourned.